There are very few people alive today who actually viscerally understand the horrors of war. How many people are alive that remember World War II? Not many. I think we shouldn't discount the possibility of nuclear war, but there are a lot of nukes pointed at us. And we have a lot of nukes pointed at other people. Obviously, global thermonuclear warfare has high potential to end civilization, perhaps permanently.
How do you hope the current war in Israel and Gaza comes to an end? What path do you see that can minimize human suffering in the long term?
This is strictly my opinion is that the goal of Hamas was to provoke an overreaction from Israel. They obviously did not expect to have a military victory. They really wanted to commit the worst atrocities that they could in order to provoke the most aggressive response possible from Israel, and then leverage that aggressive response to rally Muslims worldwide for the cause of for every Hamas member that you kill, how many did you create? And if you create more than you killed, you've not succeeded. That's the real situation there. And it's safe to say that if now that neck of the woods, they really believe in the whole eye for an eye thing.
So you talked about the threat of AGI quite a bit, but now, as we sit here with the intensity of conflict going on, do you worry about nuclear war?
At least in the U.S. I mean, obviously there are people on the front lines in Ukraine and Russia who understand just how terrible war is. But how many people in the West understand it? My grandfather was in World War II. He was severely traumatized. He was there, I think, for almost 6 years in East and North Africa and Italy. All his friends were killed. He would have died too, except they randomly gave some, I guess, IQ test or something, and he scored very high. Now, he was not an officer. He was, I think, a corporal or a sergeant or something like that, because he didn't finish high school. He had to drop out of high school because his dad died, and he had to work to support his siblings. So because he didn't graduate high school, he was not eligible for the officer corps. He kind of got put into the cannon fodder category, basically. But then, randomly, they gave him this test. He was transferred to British intelligence in London. That's where he met my grandmother. And we have a lot of nukes pointed at other people. They're still there. Nobody's put their guns away. The missiles are still in the silos.
And the leaders don't seem to be the ones with the nukes talking to each other.
No. They're very articulate on it. They just love writing. And we have a bunch of that writing that's preserved. So we know what led up to the Peloponnesian War between the Spartan and Athenian alliance. We know that they saw it coming. I mean, the Spartans didn't write. They also weren't very verbose by their nature. But they did write, but they weren't very verbose. They were terse. But the Athenians and the other Greeks wrote a line. And they were like, and Sparta was really kind of like the leader of Greece. But Athens grew stronger and stronger with each passing year. And everyone's like, well, that's inevitable that there's going to be a clash between Athens and Sparta. Well, how do we avoid that? And they saw it coming, and they still could not avoid it.
I'd venture to say that this is probably the path forward, how you avoid most wars. Just as you say it, it sounds naive if you believe in the goodness of underlying most of human nature. It just seems like conspicuous acts of kindness can reverberate through the populace of the countries involved.
And that was the right move.
It does feel like there's a profound truth. Conspicuous acts of kindness being an antidote to this.
Something must stop the cycle of reciprocal violence. Something must stop it, or it will, it'll never stop. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, limb for a limb, life for a life, forever and ever.